Okay, I just got done watching day 3 of Wrestle Kingdom 16 from New Japan, which was done alongside Pro Wrestling Noah. However, I didn't do it on my traditional New Japan world account. Instead, I went to wrestle-universe to do it. Why? Anyone knows me knows I prefer watching Japanese wrestling with English commentary. Unfortunately, the opening match of the main card, the 10-man tag match that pitted Goto, Ishii, Yoshihashi, Master Wato, and Taguchi against Inaba, Kinya Okada, not Kazuchika Okada, Harada, Ohara, and Inumura had a glitch where there was no audio commentary during the match. So I instead opted to do it on wrestle-universe, which is Noah's streaming service, as well as DDT, Pro Wrestling 01, Tokyo Joshi Pro, Universe Bible, which is a Joshi promotion that I only heard about recently. But that being said, let's go over the card. We opened up with the pre-show matches. First, Kosei Fujita against Yatsutaka and Yano, 10-minute time limit. This was what you expect. You had great back and forth actions between these two young kids. Lots of grapples, lots of strikes. It ends with Yano trapped in the Boston Crab by Fujita, but time runs out. Ends in a draw. No one gets the point there. I loved it. I give it 3.5 stars out of 5. Not something you usually give a young lion match. Next up was third generation of New Japan against Funky Expressive Noah. This one was okay, I guess. Not really the biggest fan of a lot of the older guard going at it. And ironically enough, 2 members of the Funky Express for Noah are actually in their mid-40s. Yone and Kintani, formerly Maybach Taniguchi, are only 45. Saito was the oldest member of the match between all 6 at 55. This had all the guys hitting most of their spots. It went about a little over 10 minutes, if I remember correctly. I give it 2.5 stars out of 5. It was good for what we got out of it. And let me just say this. Oh, it went 12 minutes, excuse me. Let me just say this. Thank the good Lord that this was a collaborative show. Why? Because if it was just New Japan alone, attendance in Yokohama Arena would have been cut in half. There would have only been around 3,500 in attendance as opposed to the 7,000 that we got for this event. Anyway, it ended with Kojima hitting the lariat on Tani. 2.5 stars out of 5. It was okay. Then we get the first match of the show. Yoshihashi, Hiroki Goto, Tomohiro Ishii, Master Wato and Ryusuke Taguchi defeating Kinya Okada, Yoshiki Inamura, Daiki Inaba, Hajime Ohara, and Daisuke Harada in a pretty good 10-man scramble, 10-man war. But the key matchup in this one that everyone was looking at was Ishii versus Inumura. These two kept dogging each other throughout the whole match, and I loved it. The match went about 11 minutes, but it ended rather flatly, in my opinion, with Yoshihashi trapping Okada in the Boston Crab, sitting deep on it, and Okada having no choice but to tap out. And even after the match, Inamura and Ishii were trying to kill each other. In either case, by that point, it's 2-0, 0-1 in favor of New Japan. I give this one 3 stars out of 5 for what we got out of it. Then one of the matches I did not want to watch because I knew what was going to happen. Sho defeating Atsushi Kotoge in a match. And this is one of two matches where I really need to address the elephant in the room. This one, the elephant in the room. What is that elephant in the room? Let me explain before I get into how bad this match was. The elephant in that room is twofold. One, Sugabayashi doing, the chairman, the head of New Japan, Sugabayashi, doing absolutely nothing to mitigate or fully punish the House of Torture for this stupid ass bullshit they pull in every single one of their matches. Sho, in my opinion, has regressed as a wrestler and as a human being since joining the House of Torture. And two, and I am making this abundantly clear to one man, and that man is the son of a bitch who has abdicated his duties as leader of Bullet Club to rein this in by staying here in the States for the better part of the last 8 fucking months. You guys know where I'm going with this. I am calling out Switchblade Jay White that if he's not out of the US after WrestleCon, it will show that he did not give a damn about Bullet Club. All he did was use them as a platform to elevate himself and himself alone. If he truly believes it's his era, then prove yourself as the leader of Bullet Club, Switchblade. Go back to Japan and rein in and clean up the mess you've allowed to spread in the form of the House of Torture. You claim you're up to speed as to what's going on. When are you going to rein evil in? Huh? When? When is your bullshit US of J tour ever going to end? That's what I'd like to know, Jay. When? The fact that you've abdicated your duty as leader of Bullet Club to promote yourself makes me sick. Did Devitt ever do this? No. Did AJ ever do it? No. Did Kenny do it? Yes. Has Evil been doing this? Yes. Have you done this? Yes. With Devin and AJ, I can at least say those two looked at Bullet Club and had them work as a cohesive unit. The individuals had to work for the benefit of the group. But what's happened to Bullet Club since you left bogus ass tour? It's falling apart. GOD have lost any sense of identity. Chase's contract runs out at the end of the month, so he's going to be gone from New Japan fairly soon, and I don't know where he's going to wind up. Kenta's on the shelf. GEDO and Jado are floundering around backstage with the booking. Fale has been stuck in quarantine in New Zealand, having to man in the fort down at his dojo when he can help it. And Ishimori and Phantasmo recently got exposed as frauds, i.e. the hunk of metal inside the sudden death boot. And we've got a fucking bot in my chat. I hate fucking bots. I really do hate fucking bots. That being said, let's get back to the topic at hand. Sho pulled every dirty trick in the book, pulling Jun Kiwatami, who is one of the younger Noah wrestlers, in front of Kotoge, throwing him into the guardrail, attacking, throwing the ref in front of Kotoge to hit him with a spear, and of course, getting Kiwatami into the ring to attack him, have him distract the ref, and of course, wrench to the face of Kotoge. 8 minutes, star and a half, because Sho is a piece of shit who, in my opinion, deserves to be punished for what he and the House of Torture have been doing to put stains on matches like that. This could have been a technical classic if Sho just let the damn wrench out of play. I mean, I swear, at this point, New Japan is going to have magnets out around the ring to ensure, rig the ring and load it with have magnets underneath the boards. Or in case the House of Torture pull this sort of shit again. This won't be the first time we deal with the House of Torture. Either way, it's 3-0-1 in favor of New Japan. Next up, Stinger of Hayata and Yoshioka defeating GEDO and Ishimori in a quick match. An okay, but less than 6-minute match. This one didn't take all that long. Well, GEDO and Ishimori basically tried isolating Yoshioka, but eventually he gets the hot tag to Hayata. It ends with GEDO getting us figuratively and literally hit by Hayata and left with a splitting headache in just under 6 minutes. I give it 2 stars out of 5. And spoilers for those who don't know. No, I've been keeping up a bit with Noah lately. Hayata is no longer the GHC Junior Heavyweight Singles Champ. He dropped it recently in a literal house show. In a room where you could barely hold around 150 people in it, to Daisuke Harada back on the 10th. And yeah, so now Harada's a 5-time GHC Junior Heavyweight Champion. Next up, Suzuki Goons, El Desperado and DOUKI defeated Perros de Mal de Japon's NOSAWA Rongai and Yohei in a fairly good match. You had a lot of the lucha stuff that you expect from DOUKI and Yohei. You had Desperado and Rongai, NOSAWA jaw-jacking. Even at one point, they tried to get Desperado's mask off, but it didn't pan out. It ends with NOSAWA getting hit with Pinche Loco. So, in about 9 minutes, this was good. Not great, but good. I'd give it around 2 3/4 to 3 stars. I'll go 2 3/4 with it. Next up, we had Sugiuragun defeating Suzukigun in a pretty good match. But there was a problem I mentioned before the show was predicted. Kenta was out due to a broken nose, dislocated left hip, numerous scarring on his back from basically a slew of injuries he suffered against Tanahashi on day 2 in the Dome. So they needed a replacement. And they picked Toru Yano. Now, in hindsight, this does make sense because he's an old drinking buddy of Sakuraba from the time Sakuraba was in New Japan in the Chaos faction from 2012 to 2016. So this would make sense that Sakuraba had a hand in this. They defeated the Suzuki-gun team of Minoru Suzuki, Taka Michinoku, and Taichi. Plus, who's a bigger thorn in Suzuki's side than the Sublime Master Thief? and proved to be a bit of a thorn in his side. He did. And this was actually a good match for what we got out of it. Went about 9.5 minutes. We saw a lot of hard hitting, a good bit of grappling. The big key factor, I think, is the reigniting of the feud of a rivalry between Suzuki and Sugiura. As they were slapping each other outside the ring, they would get hits in on each other in the ring. The ending ended up with Taka being the pin sponge as he got hit with the Olympic slam by Sugiura. 1, 2, 3. Sugiuragun with Yano wins. I give this one 3.25 stars. I'm waiting to see Sugiura and Suzuki go at it again. Whether it's in Noah, New Japan, or even the championship or the promotion where Sugiura holds the world heavyweight title, Pro Wrestling 01. For those wondering what that title belt was that Sugiura's got on his waist, it's the 01 championship. So this put Noah down 4 to 1. Next up was the tag match of Go Shiozaki and Masa Kiyamiya against Evil and Dick Togo, and once again, House of Torture shenanigans. This is the shit I am getting sick of. This brought down the match badly. Why can't... And like Show, Evil has regressed as a wrestler and human being, constantly resorting to these tactics. Sure, Jay White resorted to these tactics a lot, and when he was in Bullet Club initially, and it was leading Bullet Club initially, and it was one of the main reasons I called him derogatorily the bitch blade. But in recent times, he's learned to space the cheating out. Evil, on the other hand, is just cheating 24/7, and it's getting annoying. And believe me, he pulled every trick in the book out. Exposed turnbuckle? Check. Ref bump? Check. Dick Togo in the Garrett? Check. Bring Sho and Yujiro out to beat down Go Shiozaki? Check. Get the win? No. Did get the win? Actually, no. Masa Kiyamiya just bull rushed the House of Torture completely. Spear to Evil, spears to Sho and Yujiro, spears to Dick Togo. And it ends with Evil trapped in the Indian Deathlock by Kitamiya, and Shiozaki clocking Dick Togo with the lariat for the 1, 2, 3. I give this one 2 stars out of 5. It was okay. As bad as it was, the good guys came out on top, and that's the only reason it gets 2 stars. It went about 9 minutes or so. Just under 10 minutes. Next up, Naomichi Marufuji and Yoshinari Ogawa of M's Alliance and Stinger respectively, defeating Zack Sabre Jr. and Yoshinobu Kanemaru in a good matchup. In a very good matchup. You had a lot of history between these two. Kanemaru and Marufuji's history. You had the history between Zack and Ogawa, the history between Kanemaru and Ogawa. It was tremendous to see this all play out. In my opinion. You had strikes. You had Kanemaru and Zack focusing on Marufuji's knee. You had submission grappling. It was a clinic with Zack and Ogawa in the ring. You had Kanemaru attempt the Centauri surprise. It got blocked. And it ends with the Shiranui by Marufuji in about 15 minutes. It's on Kanemaru. I give it 3 3/4 out of 5. It was a good match, great matchup. And at the end, we have a possible tease of Zack and Dangerous Tekkers going to Noah soon to challenge Marufuji and Muto for the GHC heavyweight tag team titles. I would be shocked if that happened. If they want to continue this cross-promotional deal between the two, between New Japan and Noah. I mean, I know this was basically a charity event, but I was loving this show. So 4-4-1 was the score at this point. We go to the main event matches. First up, the 10-man tag of Congo, represented by Aleja, Tadasuke, Manabu Soya, National Openweight Champion Keno, and GHC Heavyweight Champion Katsuhiko Nakajima against Los Ingobernables de Japón, Tetsuya Naito, Mibushi, Hiromu Takahashi, Sanada, Shingo Takagi, and Tetsuya Naito. This was fucking awesome. I love the interactions between all of these guys. The history between them. I didn't even know about the history between Sanada and Soya. I knew about the ones between Naito and Nakajima and Shingo and Nakajima. But I loved all this action that was going on. You had a lot of times where both sides would have a player in peril and their partners having to bail them out. You had a lot of spot fests. You had Niho and Hao get their shit kicked out of them by certain members of LIJ and even get involved at one point. It was boiling over. This thing went 26 minutes, if I remember right. It was tremendous. The ending had Shingo level Tadasuke with a pumping bomber and then drill him with Last of the Dragon for the win. I give this one 4.5 stars out of 5. I loved this match. This was match of the night, for me at least. LIJ proved their superiority over Congo, and I wouldn't be too surprised if Shingo or Naito go after either the National Openweight, GHC National Openweight, or GHC Heavyweight titles, those held by Keno and Nakajima respectively, at some point down the line, and that's especially if Naito fails to beat Okada on the 20th, February the 20th in Sapporo. Bro, at the end of the Gold Series Road Tour. We know that Sanada has a U.S. title shot coming up against Tanahashi. We know that. And I'm going to love that match. Regardless. Then we get to the finale. Kazuchika Okada and Hiroshi Tanahashi defeating Kaito Kiyomiya and Keiji Muto in a great match. I'm still shocked Muto can move as well as he can at 59 years of age. There were lots of leg work, dragon screw leg whips by him on Tanahashi and Okada. You had Kiyomiya showing the fiery spirit of a 25-year-old in the ring with 3 kg vets. You had Tanahashi going up against his old mentor. You had Okada testing the new hope of Noah. It was incredible to watch this match. Not as great as the 10-man from earlier, but a pretty close second. And I mean, there was even one point where I thought Kiyomiya and Muto had won the match when Okada got nailed with the Tiger Suplex, but Tanahashi intervened and saved the match for his team. In the end, Kiyomiya, after getting nailed with a dropkick and a landslide, bounces right. Dropkick, charges into Okada, gets caught in the landslide, and then gets hit with the Rainmaker in about 24.5 minutes. 1, 2, 3, and you could tell from the ending, in the aftermath, Kiyomiya blamed himself for the loss. He was crying. In his eyes, he let Pro Wrestling Noah down. He let the Noah fans down. He let his peers in the back down. This could be something that haunts him later down the line and put him in a storyline where he goes into a downward spiral and possibly turns heel. But I don't know. Anyway, this one gets 4.25 stars out of 5. 5. I love the match. In the end, Okada thanks both the New Japan and Noah fans, albeit separately, gives a spiel about how they can get through this together, stronger, better, and faster when everyone's allowed to speak their minds, get rid of the masks, and make legit noise in the crowds again, and put every put butts in every seat. And of course, Tanahashi with his signature Aishiteru and Okada saying he's gonna make it rain. Overall, I think it's safe to say night 3 of Wrestle Kingdom 16 was the best night out of all of them. I'm gonna give this show 8.25 out of 10. And in my opinion, New Japan's stepped up a little bit, but I think they really needed Noah to carry their burden tonight. I mean, carry the help carry the weight this past Saturday. Final scores in terms of the matches: 6 for New Japan, 4 for Noah, and a draw. Still hate the fact that the commentary team and the refs for both sides were masked up. Still hate that fact. But I get it was a New Japan show, and the Noah commentary team and refs had to play by New Japan's rules, or they wouldn't be able to do it at all. But that said, Sugabayashi's still a coward to keep this bullshit mandate in effect on both the commentary teams and the refs. Especially when we know, and again, I am being a dead horse, and let me get my visual aid point out. That these do not work. I'm still muffled, as you can see and hear. Now you're wondering why this one's in my hand. And would it be any better? Yes and no. And if you can tell why, you can hear me at least a little bit better. That's why. I cut a slit in it so I can at least breathe when I wear my glasses. See? See? I can breathe a little better in this one. But again, that's because I damaged it and more or less defeated the purpose behind this bullshit thing. Either way, I've got to wash these things anyhow. Either way, I've got to wash these things anyway. Like at some point down the line. Anyway, where do both companies go from here? We know where New Japan's going. Their next stop is their tour that's coming up at the start of next week. For Noah, on the other hand, their next show is tomorrow night. Entitled Bumper Crop in Sendai. The main event, Go Shiozaki defending the GHC Heavyweight Championship against Masa Kitamiya. After that, Higher Ground, where Keno defends the GHC National Openweight title against Masakatsu Funaki on the 22nd. Then Higher Ground on the 27th. In the continuation of the Higher Ground tour, or on the 27th. Don't know when that's happening. Then on February 11th, Step Forward. And then another N Innovation show, on the 17th. Their next show that's going to have English commentary after Bumper Crop. That will have English commentary after Bumper Crop. Gain Control in Nagoya on February 23rd. We don't know the cards for those yet. And then they'll wrap up the Higher Ground Tour on February 25th. New Japan's next tour, the Golden Series, starts in Korakuen Hall this coming Thursday on the 20th, and then has another show on the 21st. It's off to Gunma on the 22nd, Tochigi on the 23rd, Fukushima on the 25th, Nagoya Aichi on the 28th, back to Korakuen Hall on the 29th, Ibaraki on the 30th, Chiba on February the 6th, Korakuen Hall on the 7th, Saitama in the Seiden Chemical Arena, aka the Saitama City Memorial Gym, on February the 9th, Yamagata on the 10th, Miyagi on the 11th, Osaka Prefectural Gym on the 13th, back to Korakuen Hall for the 15th and 15th through the 17th, and then it wraps up in Hokkaido, in Sapporo. In Hokkaido, well, really Sapporo, on the 19th and 20th. Whereas New Japan's USA branch, USA Strong, has another TV taping tonight from the Nemesis to air from the Nemesis event that occurred over December in Hollywood. From there, it's off to Seattle on the 5th. While tonight's new batch of tapings happen in Seattle for the New Beginning USA tour. We don't know who Jay White's going to be facing in the Emerald City. We have Matt Redholt against El Fantasmo, Brody King against Yuya Uemura, Clark Connors against TJP, the DKC and Kevin Knight against Eddie Pearl and Ricky Gibson, Rocky Romero and Leo Rush against Team Filthy, Royce Isaacs and Joral Nelson, Finn Juice against Bad Dude Tito and Jonah, Josh Barnett against Ren Narita, and Taylor Rush challenging Filthy Tom Lawler for the strong openweight title, Fred Rosser against Gabriel Kidd, Cody Chun against Hikuleo, and Carl Fredericks against Ethan HD. Keep in mind, I don't know any of these guys. Most of these guys that don't have a face, don't have a profile picture, I am not familiar with. Granted, I've only been recently watching a lot of Strong. And granted, it's going to take at least a couple of months before we see what happens in the New Beginning USA tour shows. Hey, Darwin, got a proposition for you. Want to be a mod? If you're going to ask me what that means, Darwin, it basically means you're in charge of finding bots and kicking them out. Now, when I'm distracted during live streams to do it. If you look at the top of the page, if you find someone with that kind of name and they have Messages that look like this, throw them out. Out and hide. Delete the messages, throw them out, hide them in general. Or hide them. Get rid of them. They're just unwanted pieces of garbage put in by the YouTube algorithm. Even though you're not answering, congratulations, Darwin. I'm making you my first mod. Use this power wisely, okay? Anyway, it's been a rough. Noah's going to have a rough time coming up for itself. I mean, I went through their list of matchups and of events coming up, and we've gone through New Japan's events coming up. But where do we go from there? To be honest, I don't know. We know after the anniversary tour, the Golden Series tour for New Japan, back to the Budokan. It's back to the Budokan for the 50th anniversary. And then the New Japan Cup kicks off. Winner of that, which wraps up in Osaka Joe Hall at the end of March, gets to face Okada or whoever the IWGP World Heavyweight Champion is for the IWGP World Heavyweight title, April 9th, Ryogoku Sumo Hall in at Sakura Genesis. But here's my question after Dentaku on May 1st in the PayPal Dome. The PayPay Dome. What is New Japan going to do for the spring? The past 2 years, we've had Best of the Super Juniors pushed back to the fall because of COVID spikes. Well, okay, and the 2020 was pushed back to the fall because everyone bought into the COVID crap lie and locked down for months. 2021 was pushed back due to a COVID spike in May, which shut the company down for a few weeks. Either way, it was pushed back. Now we know we're going to get the G1 back where G1 32 back where it rightfully belongs in the summer, late July, early August, that point in time. I mean, mid to late July, all the way through August. But you gotta wonder who's going to be in it this time around. And it also canceled because 2020 is a joke, fake, crazy year, but 2021 fight, great. And then the 2020 fight. I get what you're saying, Darwin, but look, everyone bought into the lie in 2020. This is why I don't listen to the mainstream media. Hold on. I'm in the middle of something, Mom.
All right, I'm running over to James's for a minute. I'll be right back.
Okay.
Bye.
She could have just texted that to me in a message. Sorry, my mom called, as you probably heard. Sorry about that. Anyway, you gotta wonder how things are gonna pan out for New Japan, Noah, DDT, 01, Dragon Gate, going forward this year in Japan. Because trust me, I don't know how things are going to pan out going forward. Whatever the case, it's going to be one hell of a year going forward from here on out. In other wrestling promotions, well, I don't know what promotions New Japan is willing to keep their working relationships with and the forbidden door open, because with America, let's face it, the borders are once again closed. The international plane borders for the most part, as far as I know, are once again closed. It's why I understand that's why guys like Finn Juice and Jay White are still stuck here in the States. And while I don't mind Finn Juice, Jay White has been a pain in the ass who won't go away. I mean, sure, at first it was exciting to have Jay here in the States. Not that I got to see him, but now it's become a bother because essentially he's abdicated his duties to the BC main unit in Japan. I'm hoping once you know who is exposed as a liar, a con artist, and a serial killer, and a clandestine clad serial killer, and everything he said was a lie is exposed, the international flight borders will open up and no more vax mandates. But I'm getting off topic again. I'm sorry for that. That's just what I want done, and that's my opinion of what's going to happen when a certain someone is exposed, and that's just my opinion. In my opinion alone. I'm just stressing that part now. And I'm not even going to bother naming names, because if I do, I'm just going to go flying off the handle. In any case, good job last Saturday by both Pro Wrestling Noah and New Japan. But if I had one gripe with this show, it's the streaming service it was being put on. Abema, in the pay-per-view provider that was on. Abema. Abema, you gotta get your shit together and work this thing out globally. I couldn't watch the show the day it happened because you sons of bitches don't operate in my area. That just bugs me. I wanted to watch this show the day it happened, but because your bullshit streaming service doesn't operate in my area, I couldn't. Let me put these back. I hate it when a streaming or pay-per-view server provider does not work in my area. You will not let me pay for it because they are too stingy to spread themselves across the globe. Now, to be fair, buying pay-per-view over television is dying out, to be fair. And it makes you wonder why even keep it going, even with streaming providers who do it. I mean, I would have if this had been on Fight TV the day this event happened, then I wouldn't complain. I would have been able to pull it off. But no, they had to put it on a strict Japanese only streaming pay-per-view provider. That was damn stupid on both New Japan and Noah, but more so on Noah because they're the ones tethered to Abema more than New Japan. And that's probably my lone gripe with Noah agreeing to this. I mean, I get they want to show a product to both sides of the fan base. I mean, the both fan bases. But that didn't justify putting it on a national pay-per-view stream provider that only works in select international spots. My area, which is just outside of Charlotte, does not operate and cannot use Abema. And I hate that. So let's rank my matches from top to bottom, worst to best now. Best match, 10-man tag between LIJ and Congo. Then Then reigning aces Okada and Tanahashi versus Muto and Kiyomiya. Then Marufuji and Ogawa versus Zack and Kanemaru. Yano versus Fujita. 10-man tag between 6-man tag between Sugiuragun and Suzukigun. Chaos Hontai versus Noah Hontai. Third Generation versus the Funky Express. Well, actually, House of Torture versus Shiozaki and Kiyomiya. Then Funky Express versus Third Gen. Suzukigun versus Los Perros de Mal de Japón. Bullet Club versus Stinger. And of course, Show versus Kotoge was the worst, in my opinion. I really hate what Show has become since joining the House of Torture. I really do. I wanted to like the fact that he turned heel, but when he joined Bullet Club's biggest cesspool in the House of Torture, I was sickened. I mean, I get it. Once again, because of pandemic lockdown regulations in other nations, Bullet Club is once again stretched thin. But again, like I said earlier, that doesn't justify Jay White abdicating his post as leader to do a stupid U.S. tour of the U.S. I mean, Suzuki, you could say the same thing, that he abdicated his post as leader of Suzukigun. But you know what the difference is? He only did so because there was nothing for him to do. He wasn't getting anything to do. He was always getting stuck in Young Lion matches. And he got snubbed from the G1 for the second time in 3 years. So he decided, I'll do a tour in the US where I can get appreciation, where I can hear crowds cheering my name, and hear the Kaze ni Nare, the famous Kaze ni Nare lyric when I hit the ring. And he got all of that during his tours with GCW, Glory Pro, PWX, AEW, Impact, and New Japan Strong. He got all that in a bag of chips. Heroes welcome wherever he went, despite being the heel. And I even went to the show he showed up, the show he was at when he was doing an event for PWX. Heck, I even have something I wanted to show you guys. Anyone who knows on Twitch, I'm a fan and a constant follower of one VA that I've been defending, one Victor Joseph Mignana. And when I'm on his streams, or when I do pop up, keep in mind, the videos I do pop up in aren't very often. And when they are up there, they're only up there for 2 weeks because Vic doesn't know how to save his videos for a lengthy stretch of time. But that said, I showed him this. I got the autograph of the king on this damn hat. I got Suzuki's autograph on this hat. And that's why I understood why Suzuki did his tour and then went back to New Japan for the tag league. What I do not understand is why Jay White chooses to abdicate his post as Bullet Club leader and leave it to a shit-faced sack of crap like Evil to undermine him and create his own subgroup known as the House of Torture. And why does Tsukubayashi cater to this piece of garbage? This quartet of crap is what I want to know. Anyway, I've rambled too long for the last 23, 24 minutes. Interrupted by a phone call from my mother. So for now, as I have now officially hit 50 minutes, my longest video ever here on YouTube, I'm going to close up shop. Leave a comment, smash the like, sub to the channel. Mets2128 signing out, and we'll see what the future of 2022 holds for both New Japan Pro and Pro Wrestling Noah. Goodbye. Good night. Bang!